Vivien stepped outside her new condo building into a waiting limo to head off for the tour of key Asian markets. A dry, warm breeze whipped Vivien's long, silky hair about when she exited the car. She was the first to arrive at the private airport, and while her bags were put away, she enjoyed a hot cup of gourmet coffee and a chocolate croissant in the lounge. Tim Kelly arrived next, and they had a few minutes to recap the SBR meeting. Vivien shared her experience with Duncan and Johnny O's no prep required advice.
Those guys.
Tim shook his head.
Hey, V, I should warn you.
Did he just give her a new nickname? That was all right with her. V stood for victory. And getting a nickname was a sign of acceptance.
There's always some hazing on these trips, especially for the new guy, which is you. So if we go out for drinks, don't drink anything that you haven't seen poured directly by a bartender. Dunk and Johnny-O have been known to slip something in people's drinks, and believe me, it's not a pretty sight. They may get a big laugh out of it, but you'll feel like you've been hit by an 18-wheeler. The last guy they did that to missed nearly 3 days of the trip because he was puking his guts out in his hotel room.
Tim sat back in the large leather chair. Geez, thanks for the heads up, Tim.
Also, I should let you know there's a specific way to board the jet. Not dictated by the Smart Brothers. In fact, I think Dunk was the originator. We wait for everyone to get here, then we walk out to the tarmac together. The Smart Brothers usually get on the plane first. They like to sit in the back. Then the president running the biggest business, which is Duncan, gets on and picks his seat, and so on down the line.
It struck Vivien as comical that even boarding a jet was fraught with politics and the potential to make a mistake. Since she was running the smallest business, she'd have the last pick of the seats. But that was okay. I was wondering, Vivien said, how did Duncan end up being the son-in-law of the chairman of the board? Tim stirred some cream into his coffee.
Oh, that's an interesting one. Basically a case of being in the right place at the right time.
Tim leaned in close.
When he was at Nike, one of the senior execs threw a holiday party and Otto happened to be there with his daughter, WNBA center Giovanna Oots. The moment Duncan saw her, he was on missile lock and pursued her like crazy. Never mind the fact that he was already engaged.
Lovely. Vivien raised an eyebrow.
He ended up proposing to Giovanna, then breaking things off with his first fiancée.
Ouch.
Yeah. Around that time, Otto joined the Smart Sports Board. When the Smart Brothers needed a president to grow the men's footwear business, Otto suggested they hire Duncan. Everyone in this industry knows the plum jobs are gotten through connections.
So it was that easy. Duncan got his fairy tale ending. He was married to an attractive woman with the added cool factor of being a professional athlete, and he'd landed a coveted role. Having an influential father-in-law was an even bigger bonus. Something else I've been wondering about, Vivien said. Under Duncan's signature line in his emails, it says, leader of 14 major footwear launches. Is that somehow significant? Tim smirked.
Actually, it's not a ton of launches given his years in the industry. And if you count his successful launches, it's even less impressive. It's all fluff, really.
Within the next 15 minutes, the rest of the guys arrived. Duncan appeared last, according to his customary habit, and gave a hearty greeting. Soon the co-pilot, clad in khakis and a golf shirt, came to collect them.
Is everyone ready to board?
The 5 men and Vivien walked out to the tarmac. She hung back a little, since she would be the last to board. However, as they reached the jet, Malcolm stopped.
Vivien, please.
He gestured up the stairs.
After you.
Vivien smiled at him and ignored the glare from Duncan. The flight attendant from Vivien's first plane ride greeted her warmly. She made her way to the back of the plane and picked a nice, comfortable seat facing forward, where the Smart Brothers would sit. It would be a long flight, and she could get some quality time with the co-CEOs.